So young, yeah. Yeah, we don't. I mean, we have no. We don't realise quite how young he was. I mean, he did so many amazing things in such a short space of time. It's extraordinary to remember that.
And the one thing that you get the impression from, it's about 1 hour and 50 minutes, isn't it? I think the film.
Yeah.
You see through the programme just how hard he worked. It led to a dependence on sleeping pills and things, and that ultimately is what killed him.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he was totally had complete unwavering conviction in the Beatles and all his artists. And he definitely worked all the hours that God gave him. Mm-hmm. He worked incredibly hard, and yeah, it did lead to dependence, and that led to his sad passing too early. And
you said the other bands, the other acts that he had. Just give us a list of those, because it is incredible.
Well, Cilla Black, Jerry Marsden and the Pacemakers, Billy J. Kramer, and then there were the Mersey Beats and the Foremost, lots of bands that we don't know as well now, but were huge at the time, and were responsible for the Mersey sound. So.
You've got to be quite delicate in taking on anybody linked to those British institutions of pop, haven't you? So how did you go about researching the character, getting to know him and making sure you got it right?
Well, there's videos and audio online. Not a lot, but I watched those sort of quite obsessively to try and get... I didn't want to do impression, but I wanted to get the spirit of him right. Yeah. And he had a very particular voice, and he had a particular way of moving, and it's obviously... The voice is sort of the time as well.
But not a Scouse accent at all?
Not a Scouse accent, no. I mean, that's one of the first surprises people have. And he lost it quite early. People did lose their accents then. He went to a lot of schools in the south of England, so he lost it. And then I was reading things, of course, listening to a lot. I already loved the music, but, I mean, he was a manager, a businessman, but he also absolutely adored the music and had really good taste in music and knew what would sell. So getting back into that music for me was really important.
You wonder, don't you, where he would have gone had his life not ended so young.
Watching you play him, he had like tremendous conviction.
Yeah.
He wouldn't take no for an answer, would he?
No, no. I mean, it took a long time actually to convince people, and he said the famous line, which is in the film, and he did say, which is that the Beatles will be bigger than Elvis. Yeah. And everyone laughed at him, and they really did laugh at him, and they said, no, it's not going to work. Guitar bands are out. But he just knew, and I think he always knew. He had this uncanny ability when he was working in the family store and they were selling records to know what was going to be a hit. Yeah. And there's a lovely story that Georgia on My Mind, Ray Charles, was out, and he said, "We need 25 of those." And someone said, "It's a jazz record, it won't sell." He said, "No, trust me," and it sold.
And so that is a God-given instinct, isn't it?
Yeah, just something he had. Yeah.
That line about people laughing, I think that's in the film, isn't it? Where he goes, "Is it Parlophone that signed them on?" And they did comedy records of the Goons.
Yeah,
and
George
things.
Martin worked with the Goons.
And he said, you know, you should work with me because people are always laughing at me, so it'll work well.
Yeah, they're a good team. Yeah. Exactly. And George Martin was a music guy and was really interested and wanted to get into music more, and it was a perfect synchrony. Yeah.
And working with the music of the Beatles, I mean, what surprises... Well, it doesn't surprise me, actually, but I will put the Beatles on in the car and my 6-year-old loves them. You know, they go on forever.
Yeah, absolutely. And the music's so interesting and experimental and
diverse.
And diverse. And I was listening to Tomorrow Never Knows the other day. It was just the most extraordinary modern piece of music with loops and I think he would have been so proud of that. And I think his contribution to that is, he wasn't, George Martin, he wasn't in charge of the music as such, but he gave them the space to just be free, wild artists. He was, I think Marianne Faithfull called him the adult in the room. He was a manager who really took care of everything so that his artists could just be artists. I think that was quite new.
And you enjoyed it? And enjoyed taking him on?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, I loved it. I mean, it was, as a person, he's complex and fascinating, an introvert, quite shy, but also has flair. And
he was the fifth Beatle, as Paul McCartney
And he was
said.
the fifth Beatle, yeah. And that was a great privilege.
Just very briefly, where can people see it?
On Amazon Prime Video tomorrow.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Tomorrow. Thank you so much.
Thanks
Lovely to
for having
see you.
Thank you.